Welcome to the Idaho Fishing Report. Whether you are planning just a couple of hours or a full weekend of fishing, this is your one-stop place for all the information you need to plan your trip. It's all right here, from weather forecasts and reservoir levels to the latest stocking reports and expert advice. And now, the host of Idaho Fishing Report, Jeff Cullers.
Welcome, angler. I am Jeff Cullers, and welcome to the Idaho Fishing Report. We're coming to you from the Good Boy Studios, and this is the first ever Idaho Fishing Report for the Southeast region. All right, happy to have you along. Big show for you. Jordan Rodriguez comes and talks about line. I've got your weather information, boat ramp, reservoir levels, fishing tournaments, stocking, moon phase, everything you need for the Idaho Fishing Report for the week of March 17th, 2023. All right, let's kick it off up in Stanley. All right, for the first time ever, Stanley. Sunset around 7:48 p.m. Much like the rest of the southern Idaho report, this area is going to kind of be the same way. The weekend is looking pretty good. Sunny on Friday, moving to partly cloudy on Sunday. And then when Monday rolls in, you're going to see rain or snow. So Stanley, yes, going to see snow on Monday. Highs up there over the weekend are going to be in the mid 30s to low 40s. Once you get into Monday, it's going to be in the mid to lower 30s for the highs. The cold is going to be cold. The lows are going to be cold. So not looking too good as far as temperature-wise, but like I said, through the weekend, if you can handle the cold, the weather is going to hold out good. Over in the Pocatello, Idaho Falls area, sunset will be around 7:38 p.m. Again, sunny on Friday, partly cloudy on Sunday, so you'll see it kind of digress as you get through the weekend. Highs in the mid 30s, lower 40s, and then once you get into Monday, it's going to be about the same mid 30s, lower 40s. But you're going to see afternoon rain and snow over there on Monday, snow on Tuesday morning, all the way through Thursday. Winds aren't going to be too bad, all single digits out in that area. All right, let's get up to Island Park. Are you headed up to Henry's Lake to do some fishing, or Island Park? Sunset will be around 7:38 p.m. Sunny all weekend to mostly sunny, so that's good. Here's the bad news, 33 to 35 degrees. It's going to be pretty cold. I have no idea what the ice looks like up there yet. That information is not readily available, so hopefully we'll be able to get that for you going forward. Now, Monday, kind of the same thing. It's going to be that kind of cold, snow, all of that. So you're going to see that. So it's not looking really great up there once you get into the second part of the first part of the week. Once you get out of the weekend. So just keep an eye on that as we go through. All right, it is time for our hot tip of the week, presented by Tightlines208.com. Joining us as he does each and every week, owner and creator of Tightlines 208, Jordan Rodriguez. Jordan, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jeff. What about you?
I'm doing well. As you know, I'm very much affected by the weather, and it's getting better. I know it was cold the last couple of days, but it looks like it's getting better, that forecast. Those numbers keep going up. The days get a little longer, so as we get closer and closer, I'm getting better and better.
I got to say, I think we've talked about it before. March, on average, might be just about the toughest fishing month that we have. It's just kind of a transition between winter and spring. And there's a lot of difficulties, a lot of headwinds.
There is. But here's what's weird. I was talking to one of my coworkers this week, and they talk about how they killed it at CJ Strike for crappie last weekend. So go figure.
Wow.
Go figure, right? Hey, what is that Tightlines 208 hot tip of the week, my friend?
Yeah, so as I often do, I'm going to talk a little bit about something that I have in one of my upcoming articles. This will be released in the Magic Valley Times News on March 16th, in the Statesman at some point in the near future as well. And I'm going to be talking about fishing line.
Okay.
And I know we've talked about it on the show before. I think it's really important. I think it's often overlooked, right? Is we just kind of throw whatever on there
Yep.
or
Yep.
even use what comes on the reel. There's a lot in the article. I won't go into all of it because it would, it'd be quite a bit of content for this segment. But I'm just going to focus on two things that I think are huge, and I also see it a lot where this is a problem, right? Where somebody is unaware, or in my opinion, would be not doing it right, not on purpose, but just because they don't know any better. So
Sure.
the two things are to not overdo it with your line. And I mean by that two things. One is how heavy of line are we using? And two, how much of line are we using? I'll start with that second one of how much. So on a spinning reel, I feel like probably the majority of folks are using spinning reels, and that's where it's most important. But I also think this is true of all kinds of reels, regardless of whether you're into spinning reels or spin casting or bait casting style reels or even trolling reels, is to not put too much line on there. My general rule is about 75, maybe 80% full. And the reason being is if you fill that thing all the way up to capacity, which by the way, I've seen done many, many times, even by, well, I had the guys at Cabela's do it
Yeah.
for me.
Right.
And it's, full like to 100% or even over 100% full. And just having too much line on there just leads to problems, things like backlashes, things like the line, what I call jumping the spool and getting in kind of behind the gears on a
Yep.
spinning reel. Just wanting to jump off and have too much line spilling out as you're making your casts. All of those kind of tangle, annoying type problems. I would say, like whatever percentage you want to put on it, a majority of those types of issues can be avoided or at least drastically reduced by just not going all the way full on that spool. So, like I said, 75, maybe 80% max capacity on your when you're filling up your reels. The second part of that, and it kind of dovetails in, is how heavy of line are we using? And for me, the answer to this is almost always going to be, what's the lightest I can get away with? And that's what I want to be using. Lighter line, for one, you'll be able to fit more per capita on the reel, right? If you're using 8 pound as opposed to 15, because it's significantly thinner. And lighter line just performs better. It's nicer for casting. It's nicer for, cutting and tying and retying and doing all your things. And then it has less visibility in the water for the fish as well, which I think is a big deal, especially in certain scenarios like ice fishing, other types of vertical jigging, or really any kind of fishing where you're in super clear water.
Yep.
And or on pressured fish, fish that are seeing a lot of anglers and a lot of tackle in the water. So, most of my setups as I kind of take inventory of all my different fishing gear are going to have like 6 or 8 pound. And in some cases on some of the ice fishing and like ultralight panfish stuff, 4 pound.
Yep.
Even. And you're really not going to see me use much heavier than 10 pound on really anything, with the exceptions being if I'm on like a noted trophy hunt where it's like a tiger muskie or a Mackinaw trout, fish that we expect to be 10, 15, maybe even 20 or more pounds, then obviously you don't want to be outgunned in that scenario. And also certain bass setups like on flipping and pitching,
Yep.
bait caster rods, you're going to be using heavier braided line and probably a short fluorocarbon leader that's maybe in like the 15 or even 20-pound class, just because those fishing applications you're intending to throw into some pretty heavy cover, weeds, trees, all that type of stuff. And so it's not really for the fish, it's for battling the cover and also being able to pull those fish out very quickly so that they don't get hung up in the in the stuff. So That's a quick overview. Lots more information in the article if you want to check that out. But those are two things that I just see over and over and over again. When I work with people in classes or lessons, and they say, "Hey, check out my gear here," and it's like, well, first thing I'm going to do is take off this 15-pound mono
Right.
on your 6 foot, medium kind of all species rig, and we're going to do something more like 6 or 8. And just making that one adjustment, I think, just makes a world of difference for all kinds of things related to fishing performance, whether that's casting, whether that's having fewer issues with your line, whether that's catching more fish, kind of all of the above. So,
Yeah, I growing up in North Carolina, I had 10-pound and I had 4-pound, and that was pretty much it. We had 10-pound for bait casters and 4-pound for just about everything else for pan fishing. So, but more bass fishing there. Here, where you're dealing with more, you have more trout that you're also catching here. That some of that mid range is definitely better. But I think there's a misnomer, right? And I know we don't want to get too deep in it because this is what your classes are about. But if you're catching a 10-pound fish, you don't necessarily need a 10-pound weight, correct?
absolutely. Yeah. 10-pound test. Yeah. So the test is what it's basically rated for, like at maximum strain. So if you had, 10 pounds of pressure on a 10-pound line, then you'd be, potentially in trouble. However, as you're fighting fish, first of all, people need to understand, like, a 10-pound anything in Idaho waters is, unless we're talking like sturgeon, is pretty rare.
Right.
So it's not every day that you're going to be encountering these trophy class fish to begin with. More of it is going to be, these 1 and 2 and 3 pound fish that you have no problem landing on 6 or 8 pound line. The other thing is that a very heavy fish can be landed on much, much, much lighter line than what it's quote unquote rated for. And that's what things like your fishing skill and your other equipment like your rod and reel are made to do. So for example, I've seen in extreme cases ice fishing guys in the Midwest, they're like crappie fishing with 2 pound or 4 pound line, and they hook into a muskie, right? Now you got to get lucky because the teeth will just cut right through it. But if they somehow avoid the teeth and have that fish on, they're able to land like 20-pound fish on 2 pound line. And there's all kinds of stories out there, and people say, whoa, that's amazing that happened. It is cool. And it does show that the angler used some skill and knew what they were doing. But also, like, that's what drag is for. That's what rod is for. That's what the angler is for, to, as you do this kind of tug of war, this push and pull with the fish, by loosening that drag and allowing them to take line off the reel.
Yep.
And never letting it get to that full tension point. If that's the case, you should be able to land most fish. Now, obviously, there's all sorts of things. There's like jumps. There could be obstacles in the water, things that fish swims under. All of those things are obstacles that we may have to navigate. But by and large, if you do it right, you should still be able to land many fish, probably not all, but many, maybe even most, depending on where you're fishing, on lighter line than what the fish actually weighs, on the rare occasion where you get one that's that big.
And that is the art of fishing, isn't it?
It is. And, that's part of it. Makes it more fun, honestly, to catch fish on this lighter pound test. Yep. Because you do have to play it out, and you can't just, crank them in all the time. And to me, that's more fun. It's a little more of a challenge. And I do think things like your bite ratios and things go up when you're using lighter line that's not as visible in the water, and it's just, more enjoyable to fish with. So think about that as you're getting your gear set up for the coming year. Maybe size down a little bit, use a little lighter than what you've used in the past, maybe a little bit nervous at first, but I think you'll find as you use it, it's actually a better fishing experience, and you can still land most, if not all, of your prized catches on that lighter line.
Absolutely. All right. So listeners, you've enjoyed this. Great tips from Jordan here. You have a bunch of classes you just like fishing. You're getting there to get geared up, right? We gave away a seat at the Idaho Sportsman Show to Randy. Congratulations to him for winning that seat. through our Sportsman's Expo show, but you've got shows coming up, right? Or sorry, you got classes coming up.
I do. We're going every month now. We have the trout class coming up at the end of this month. That's on March 30th. Trout of This World. It's filling up fast. We've got Randy in there and a bunch of other folks, and we still do have a few seats left. So if you want to check that out, we're going to be talking all things trout fishing. It's a great time to be doing that. You know, March, April, as we go into the spring here, is one of the prime windows for trout fishing for the entire year. And of course, you know, depending on where you go, and you know, alpine lakes in the summertime and rivers in the fall and ice stuff in the wintertime, trout is really a year-round deal here in Idaho waters. So check us out on March 30th for Trout of This World, and then we're just going to keep it rolling, man. We'll have bass class coming up in April. I don't have a date set for that yet, but we will be holding that in April at Idaho Rod and Reel. And in May, we're going to be doing some fly fishing with Learning to Fly. And we're just going to keep it rolling all summer, all fall. And so give us a look up at Tightlines208.com. You can see our full offering of what classes we have and when those might be coming up. And join our mailing list. You can get first priority on all of those classes. And of course, listen to the show. We oftentimes have additional goodies and discounts and opportunities to win a free seat. So appreciate everyone who both listens and reads and or attends class. It's always good to kind of meet people and see them in all those different settings.
All right. He's Jordan Rodriguez, owner and creator of Tightlines 208, and he presents this hot tip of the week each week on the Idaho Fishing Report. Jordan, we thank you and hope you have a great week.
Yes, sir. Likewise, Jeff.
All right. We will talk to you soon. Do you want to be part of the show? Email us with questions or your fishing report from your last trip. Email general questions to gemstatefishing208@gmail.com. Fish pictures sent to myfish@gemstatefishing.com. And viewer questions to questions@gemstatefishing.com. All right. Yeah, do reach out to us. Would love to hear from you. Anytime you have questions or comments. Jordan talks about it all the time. I'm also open to questions. Email us. Would love to answer those questions for you. All right, let's look at that reservoir level and boat ramp information for the southeast Idaho area. Pocatello, Palisades is sitting at 33% full with an elevation of 55-54. Both boat ramps are open. American Falls is sitting at 70% full with an elevation of 43-45. All boat ramps are open. All right, as we head up a little further north there to Island Park, Ryrie's sitting at 59% full with an elevation of 50-89. Both boat ramps are open. Island Park, 85% full with an elevation of 6,300. All boat ramps are open. Henry's Lake is sitting at 92% full with an elevation of 2971. There is no boat ramp information available for Henry's Lake. Make sure you visit us at gemstatefishing.com for all the links to all the information we provide here. You can also contact us through the site. All right. Again, welcome to the Good Boy Studios. This is the Idaho Fishing Report for the southeast area. Let's get into some fishing game information. Stocking. Not a whole lot, folks. Just so you know, there's not a whole lot of stocking that's happening right now, except two areas. One in the southeast region. So this is the Idaho Fishing Game region. This is not my defined region. This is the Idaho Fishing Game region in the southeast Fishing Game region. American Falls Reservoir is getting 18,000. I know, I just said there's not a lot, and then I dropped down 18,000. There's not a whole lot of different places. Bear River is getting about 2,000 fish stocked this week. Upper Snake, none in that area. And then also there are no fishing tournaments happening over in the southeast area. So that's kind of a little short on that, but that's where we are. Hey, you can find us on every social media platform, from Facebook groups, Twitter, or Instagram. Our handle at Idaho_report. All right, let's talk about that moon phase now. And if you're new to the show, this is something that we do each and every week. I grew up, my grandfather believed in the moon phases. I'm a big believer in the moon phases. So this is where what I think is an important part of planning your fishing trip. We're currently in the last quarter, the last quarter was March 14th. So we're coming out of that. The new moon is March 21st, and that's going to explain why the fishing's getting better. Last quarter's not a great quarter to go fishing. New moon, full moon, those are really good quarters to go fishing. Full moon obviously is the best. Perigee is coming up March 19th, so that will be on Sunday. Apogee is the end of the month, March 31st. Just a quick reminder that the perigee is when the moon is closest to the Earth, and apogee is when the moon is furthest away from the Earth. Now, a lot of people, including myself, believe that when we're in perigee, the pull of the moon is stronger, and therefore you get better fishing when we're in that phase. All right, so the weekend starts off soft. Like I said, we're coming out of that last quarter. Just one good peak on Friday at noon, and it gets better by Sunday with good peaks at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. And then you get that midday peak around 1 p.m. Sneaks in just at the excellent. Now the peaks keep getting better next week. We'll see excellent peaks at 2 a.m. and 2 p.m. So keep an eye on those. And then 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. on Monday, and those kind of work their way down to excellent peaks at 4 a.m. and 4 p.m. on Thursday. Now, the good peaks soften as the week goes along and moves to 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. by Thursday. One thing that we're going to start doing this week, check out my social feeds, my stories, as we're going to be doing daily feeds on the peak times and where they are. So check those out this week. You can find us again at Idaho_report. All right, it is time for that Southeast Idaho grade. I'm going to give it a B for the weekend. It's okay. It's going to be cold, so bundle up, grab those fishing gloves and those hats. But for the weekend, maybe a soft day on Sunday, much like the southern Idaho area. I give it a soft day for the weekend on that. The rest of the week, so Monday on, man, that's a hard D. That's a D- probably in this area, thanks to the snow. So just keep an eye on that up there and be careful if you're out and about. If you are ice fishing, please check locally on ice conditions and whether or not it's safe to go out. All right, before we wrap up here, I just again, we're here in the Good Boy Studio, and so happy to have this finally completed and be here with you now. But I do want to remind you that Good Boy Studio is here for your needs, for whether that be audio or video. But have you ever had an idea for a great podcast but just didn't know how to get it started? Well, starting your own podcast is easy as contacting Good Boy Studio and letting us help you get your great idea out of your head and into listeners' ears. We can teach you how to write, edit, produce, and publish your own podcast, or we can handle all of that. And all you have to do, show up here and record. Contact us today to learn more at goodboystudios.com. That's good, B-O-I, studios.com. Good Boy Studios can help you launch your idea into a reality. All right, so super excited to have this first episode of the Idaho Fishing Report for the Southeast region in the book. Glad you came along. Hopefully you got some information that you needed for this area, and you've enjoyed Jordan's hot tip on line. That's really fun to put on a little bit lighter weight line and get out there and just do some fishing for panfish or trout and make it a challenge, right? We can all get out there and catch with a big line, but the weather report for this area, not great for this weekend, but there it is. It's available for you. We're glad you came along, and can't wait to see you again next time. I will be doing a daily story on all of our social media feeds that tells you when the peak times are each day. So if you're like, oh man, I want to know what it is for days, and it's next Tuesday, and you don't want to go through the whole show, just go to @Idaho_report, and you'll be able to find us there. And thanks for coming along. Thanks to Jordan. Appreciate you all. We'll see you next time on the Idaho Fishing Report. We would like to thank you for listening to the Idaho Fishing Report. You can find us at gemstatefishing.com. Also, connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also find us on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and give us a like. Thanks to our sponsors, guests, and experts, but especially you, our listener, for making this show possible. This has been a Good Boy Studios production in association with OMS Multimedia, LLC. Join us next week for another episode of the Idaho Fishing Report. This show is the property of Old Man Studios, LLC. It may not be reproduced, rebroadcast, or retransmitted without the express written consent of Old Man Studios, LLC.